All right, spiritual superstar. So what you see is a sage bundle, and you see me just putting it in the corner of the room, blowing. I do not have a feather. You don't need one. And literally, I'm using a glass, and I'm going to the corners of my room. Okay, and it's not just the corners of, but certainly you don't want to forget about the corners of, because toxic energy collects in the corners of your space. And so sometimes, and I'll explain to you why we sage in just a minute, but I want to make sure you see what you can use to keep the um, embers, I guess it would be, to be safe, because sage does spark and jump. So I have my shell, normal, but I don't always use it. This is lavender and guanabana that I have in here. But this is just sage in here. So here's the thing with sage, and let me just put the top back on because I have gone throughout my home, and now I'm going to share with you what my process is. Take a seat here, turn the camera back around. Hey, spiritual superstars. So, I'm Necole. Type in your 4 1s. You know we're not going to forget that. So, in the comment section, type in your 4 1s, the opening of the spirit realm. And what that does is it says to the universe that you are ready to receive and that you are vibrating with the soul of the world, okay? So, sage. Sage is an indigenous practice. It is a strong part of my spiritual practice, and it's something that has been going on for generations in many different cultures. So I know a lot of people say it is just to Native Americans, but actually, when you look at smudging, which is kind of interchangeable, the practice is the same and it spans across many different cultures. Sage is a plant that does grow in the United States and elsewhere. And there are several different variations. You can actually grow sage like I do in your garden. You can also buy it from the grocery store, your farmer's market. There's so many different kinds. I have a particular penchant um, for pineapple sage and for garden sage, but I really am big on um, going after what you can get your hands on, because when you're saging to purify your home and to purify your human, by the way, you really want to focus on your intention and the practice of it. And you're using sage because sage has already been scientifically proven to actually cleanse the air of bacteria. So when we're talking about the viruses, the bacteria, the sicknesses, the illnesses, we certainly are looking at, for myself as a lifestyle medicine practitioner, the metaphysical connection of all of that. And as a seer or a spiritual guide, um, you're looking at the spiritual component. And so when you are being attacked spiritually, psychic and spiritual warfare, you might find that you are just, nothing is going right. Like you might find you're chronically single and you don't want to be. You might find that there's been diagnoses in your family, prognoses. There has just been evictions. There is just cycles, generational toxic cycles that keep you just in this stuck, stagnant, broken, financially broke kind of current that keeps cycling, right? So Saging is really a great thing to do when you are trying to clear and cleanse that energy. And okay, make sure I didn't want y'all to be looking at my schedule and stuff. Um, but you, so don't get caught up on, oh well, I can't buy it from the store. You absolutely can. You just want to make sure that you are letting it dry. And so if you buy fresh sage, it's great. It's fresh. Um, and it's something that you could afford, right? Something you could get your hands on. That's great. So you just want to wrap it up. I choose red thread or twine, and I hang it up in my kitchen. That is what I have watched my elders do, and I was very fortunate, very blessed to have the access to the direct teachings of how to sage correctly and why we're doing it. Also, before I end, I'm going to share with you two super important things that you want to make sure you're doing when you're saging. Otherwise, I really don't think it gives you the kind of outcome that you want if you're not taking these two things into consideration. But um, one of the questions that I get often is about opening your windows and doors when you're saging. So you've got your sage bundle, right? No matter what way you've got it, no matter where you're getting it from, you got your sage. You've got your match, lighter. Make sure you're doing it safely because they do jump, the sparks do jump off. Um, and your intentions are set on what you do want to manifest. So let's say you are purifying your home because you don't never got any money, okay? You're constantly broke. So we got to change that, okay? And so when you are focusing on, I ain't got no money, that's wrong. You have money. You got a lot of money. And you love money. Money loves you. And you are manifesting abundant wealth. And so we've got to change that whole energy that you are putting out to the universe while you're saging, because it's a very potent practice and tool to use. And so you want to make sure you're vibrating on the highest of energy. So it does take a purposeful action, and you've got to really be on point about it. So here's the thing: if you're living with someone who is toxic, if you're living with someone who's negative, if you're living with somebody who just doesn't get it, they don't like it, they're like, it just doesn't smell right, I don't want you to be doing that in here, okay, they got everything to say, then you really are going to have to raise up and say to yourself, this is important to me and I'm going to do this. Now, if they've got a smoke allergy or something like that, then use our mist, use our sage spray, use our sage oil. I'm very particular about where I get my essential oils, where I get my sage. And so if I'm not growing it, I'm only using one um, distributor for my actual bundles, and I'm using one distributor for my essential oils. So um, just keep that in mind. If you need anything that we have, you definitely will be getting the most pure. But you want to use whatever you need to use, okay? And you don't want to include anybody in your process that doesn't need to know about it. So if you're living with someone that is toxic and they're the reason why you need to do this, then use the oil, use the mist, and they will never know, and they don't need to know. This is something for you. And and that's important. Now, your intention is definitely set on your manifested outcome, right? And you always want to work with whoever comes to you to work with. So let's say Jesus pops into your mind, then you're working with Jesus. If Baha'u'llah pops in, then you're working with Baha'u'llah, Muhammad, um, Abraham, Zoroaster, Buddha. Whoever pops into your mind and your mind's eye, you're going to see that manifestation or messenger of the Most High work with them because they showed up as the messenger or manifestation for you, and that's what you want to do. You want to welcome them in. Now, your ancestors might pop in, your ascended loved ones might pop in. welcome them into that process, because sage is connected to our ancestors. It is an opening, it is a gateway to the spirit realm. And so, what's happening is when you're using this as a tool to purify your home, to purify your human, to break the psychic attack just like that, to break the spiritual warfare, then you are asking for your ancestral team and for your spiritual team to come in and help you, because they're going to do that. They always are working for us on the other side because we're their legacy. So, you want to go around with that intention, and then once you go through the corners of your home, I'm going to share with you why the corners of your home are so important. You cannot miss the corners or the closets or under your bed. You want to open up your windows and you want to open up your doors, okay? So, why do you do that after and not during or not before? Is because when you're using this beautiful tool, you are asking your ancestral team to come in and grab that toxic energy and carry it out for you. Here's the reason you want to make sure you go in the closets. You want to move stuff around. You want to go into the corners. Is because negative energy likes to collect and stay in those corners and behind boxes, underneath stuff. So you want to move that stuff around. Negative toxic energy likes to be still and unseen. And you have to be the disruptor. And because you are so precious and so sensitive in your human form, you need our ancestors' help on the other side. So ask for their help, because, honey, they want nothing more but for you to succeed as their legacy. And so when you're breaking generational curses, they're with you on it. Trust me on that. They're with you on it. So sage is a wonderful thing to have on your ancestral altar. Um, but then you want to open up. So you're opening up the windows, the doors, and everything. And here's the deal. You might very well hear um, screaming. You might hear gnashing of teeth. You might hear yelling, and you might hear your name being called. You might hear the demon's name. You might see the demons. You might see negative, grotesque, ungodly images, disfigured images. You might hear laughing at you. You might hear and feel scratching on your back, on your human. You might feel the waves of tingling and vibrating energy all over your human. Your crown chakra might start opening up and start really just pulsating and itching like crazy and tingling, and you doing all of this, and you just can't even help it. And it's because that energy is awoke, okay, or awakened. It is up, okay, and you have disrupted some things, and your ancestors are carrying that stuff out of your space and out of your life, away from you, out of your family, out of their vessels, okay? So if you living with somebody that's toxic, that stuff is waking up and coming up out of them. And and if you the toxic one, it's going to be happening to you too. And so you might look at the door, you might look over here, you might look at the window, and you might literally see a grotesque image. You might see it trying to hang on to the door, hang on to the window, from leaving, all of that. But you're going to see the smoke literally engulf it, because that's what it's doing. It's capturing this negative toxic energy and making it leave your space. So this is a really deep practice that absolutely works. It works for me. I pray that it works for you. Um, and just remember to keep in mind what I said. Um, it's a prayer, it's a practice, and it's something that you have to practice. And so it's not just a one time thing, but you certainly are in the intention of breaking these generational curses, stopping the broken, toxic generational energy, just so you can heal your generational energy and heal for the legacy that is coming after you, whether you have children now or not. You are still responsible, in my opinion, for future generations. So we do all of this as that very serious veneration and pure homage, and just in this humbled state, which goes in line with our indigenous ancestors, because we used everything, we appreciated everything, and we paid extreme pure homage and veneration. And that's what we were taught, right? So, um, let's see. Um, One of the last things I wanted to share with you is you have to do a balancer. And that's one thing that I never have heard anyone mention. And it's something that we were just very blessed in my family to have documented, that it was handed down for 7 generations that we know of, documented that we know of. And so you have to have a balancer after you're doing this. Why? Is because you're so precious. You are so delicate as a human, and you need something that is going to really settle the energy within your home and in your space. And remember, you're the soul within your human. So because you're so delicate, that's why oftentimes you think you're just straight crazy when you're in an awakening, or when you first wake up and you're just like, am I crazy? Like, what? Why? What? It's like night and day, right? You wake up one day and it's like, oh my gosh, I see things that I wasn't seeing before, but they were always there. And so have that balancer, because no, you're not crazy, and you're going to be completely wide awake after that, and you're going to be hearing things, you're going to be seeing things, and you're going to be feeling things and smelling things, and you're going to be sensing things that are all spiritual, and you have awakened the most pure within you. Remember, you're the soul within your human. Okay, so you in your space is just wide open, just pure, right? If you can imagine a blank canvas. And so you want to make sure that you've got a balancer. I use one thing in particular. I'm happy to share it with you if you reach out to me, but it is, just use whatever you feel is going to balance your energy out. And like I said, this is something that we've kept in our families for generations, and I'm happy to share it with you if you reach out to me. But, and the other thing is, you want to you want to be sure that you know what you are bringing into your home. So it's not just in the company you keep, it is in the things that you bring in, the products that you use, okay? So if you are using Lysol, bleach, and you're spraying it all over the place, you're wiping it all over the place, you're using all Comet, and you're going like shaking it out, and you run out of the bathroom, toxic. It's a toxic product. Therefore, the energy it's producing is toxic. So when you're doing all of the saging and you're smudging and you're doing the incense and you are ritual after ritual and you're praying and you're meditating and reflecting and oils and incantations and affirmations and declaring and all this stuff, meditating and kumbaya and yoga and the whole 9 yards, and you're still under psychic attack, and you're still under spiritual warfare, and you're still being diagnosed, and you're still flare up after flare up, and you're still, the doctors keep prescribing all these medications, and your kids are unhappy, and you're unhappy, and you're stressed out, and all this stuff, getting fired, laid off, all this stuff just continues to happen, is because not only are you bringing toxic energy in, but then it's allowed to grow because you keep using it. So, makes sense, right? And you don't think about that. I certainly didn't think about that. And once I did think about it and we got it, and Spirit was like, wake up. And I woke up and was like, oh my gosh, everything changed. We just changed. And so I'm happy to share with you what I did. You just got to reach out to me. And because that's not something I'm going to share openly. But when I did change, we just did this one little thing, boom, everything changed. Like every area of our life just got happier, healthier. My business picked up. I found a $100 bill. It's on my vision board. I found 3 checks. It's crazy. So make sure that and I stopped having flare-ups. Many of you know I have lupus, I have rheumatoid arthritis, degenerative disc. They tried to slap fibromyalgia on there. I feel healthier than I did when I was 25. So, my kid, he was taking off the steroid cream for eczema. It's a trip. It's a trip. So, anyway, make sure you're doing that and make sure you are watching what you're bringing. So, it's not just the people that you're bringing into your home or bringing around you. It's not just that type of energy that might be toxic. It's just in everyday items that you're using that create this toxic funk in your home that keeps this generational curse going and these cycles that are just unhealthy. So, many blessings in reversing that. I hope and pray that this makes sense to you. And remember, I'm just happy to help you. So, whatever I can do, you reach out to me and let me know what you need from me. All right. I love you. Have a beautifully blessed night. And I will talk to you very soon. Mwah.